Swedish cheese.
What? There is sugar in it?
Here. There is sugar in it, there is cinnamon in it. In fact, you know, it's all ready to go. You just add hot milk or hot water, okay? This one is made in Venezuela, an importado, okay?
Nestle makes one that's called
Nestle makes
Abuelita.
Abuelita. It's not as good as this. Okay?
Yeah, I know.
It's in the traditional round.
Yeah, it is made in the round. That's
In the
the
round
way a lot
cake.
of them did it. They pour it into a mold and it would harden into this. Okay, this is not Hershey's. All right, soft. Okay, so this is what we have when the Americans arrive. If they want chocolate, this is what they can find. You're not going to melt this and pour. You know, they're not going to make brownies with this. Okay, this is not going to do it. What we're going to have to do for chocolate is, first of all, we're going to have to make cocoa powder. There are a couple of ways to do it. The Dutch invented the process by putting
You grind it.
lye. You grind it up and you put lye in it, and the lye carries out all of the cocoa butter. And then you can separate the cocoa butter from the lye. Okay, that's not a big problem. And everyone says, oh, cocoa has lye in it. It doesn't. If it did, it'd have cocoa butter in it. Okay, it all titrates out and you have powder left. Okay, and then that's where we get what they call the Dutch cocoa powder, because the Dutch invented it. All right, and so that's you've used cocoa powder and things. You've baked with cocoa powder. Once we can do that, we can bake. We can make brownies. Okay, but we still can't make fudge. We still can't make this. All right. Next, after you get the cocoa butter out, you need to put a little cocoa butter back in, or you're just going to have the powder. And if you've heard, oh, it has soy lecithin in it. Well, not only that is just something like egg yolks to make the powder stay in the cocoa butter. It's just an emulsifier. It's not a big deal. Okay, that might be what some people are allergic to. I've heard people, oh, I'm allergic to chocolate. The cocoa powder itself has never yet been shown as an allergen. They haven't yet shown anybody that is allergic to the cocoa powder. But it could be the cocoa butter, it could be the soy lecithin, it could be the lye that they took it out with. And if you go to Ghirardelli's in San Francisco, they don't use lye. They gather up those ground cocoa nibs like this that are ground much finer, and they pull them up in a bag, like a burlap bag, and they hang it on a hook. And the cocoa butter drips out. And after enough of it drips out, and they'll at least squeeze it, and they end up with powder in the bag. So you don't have the chemical treating, okay? So either one of those, that's doable in 1630. We can do that. So we can, we can get to that point where we can take the butter out, you do what we want with the butter, put the butter back in, you still don't have chocolate.
But you have chocolate cake.
Yes, now you can have chocolate cake, now you can have brownies, now you can, go in all those directions. You can even make a chocolate syrup that you can put on things with cocoa powder, right?
And since Dr. Gribbleflogs invented baking powder, you can actually have a cake prior to.
Well, there were cakes, they were yeast cakes.
Yeah, they were yeast cakes.
They didn't have quick
breads, and they didn't have a cake like.
In fact, if you go to Europe right now, most of the cakes are still made with yeast. In Germany, they're both mostly yeast cakes. They still don't use chemical leaveners. All right, so we have cocoa powder. We have that. The next thing that happened was a man named Nestle in Switzerland invented a way to put dried milk powder into the dried cocoa powder. We have milk chocolate. Yay! Okay. By the way, we're up to like 1810. It took them that long to find out how to do that. And we still haven't got to Joseph Lindt, who was also Swiss, who invented the conching machine. And we have some theories about the conching machine, but there are no companies that will tell you how to conch, because conching is what makes the chocolate unique for each company. So they don't even get a patent on it, because anyone else could look at the patent and do Hershey's chocolate. They don't do that. They say, well, we conch it, and that's all they say. The reason it's called conching is because Lindt invented a machine that looked like a shell, like a conch shell. And it was curved like this on the sides, and it had a metal or a marble roller that would roll through the chocolate. And the chocolate stays in there being rolled back and forth, becoming more and more liquid with the cocoa butter. They don't tell you how long, and it's usually about from what I can tell, somewhere around 72 hours at least. Okay, and it's rolling and it's, you know, blending, and it finally rolls it so much that it brings it up to the temperature. Do you know the temperature of tempering chocolate? It's between 93 and 98. It's a very narrow place, but chocolate itself has a crystalline structure. And if you put sugar in, sugar has a crystalline structure. You've got to get the two of them so the two crystal structures bond together and you get shiny, soft, mouthfeel chocolate. That's when we will have this.
Yay!
Yay! I brought samples. Everyone can have it. Here, pass the bag. I have more, don't worry. Okay.
Halloween all over again.
So I brought other samples because now we've come into a time that the Grantvillers never saw, where we have artisan chocolate. Okay, they're having the free use, you know, the market chocolate where they're not cheating the farmers and they bring it in and they do artisan chocolate. This one is by a company named Dagobah. Yes, they didn't have to go to the moon, but it is Dagobah, which, by the way, is I think it's Hindu for Temple of the Gods. So if you're going to have food of the gods, go to the temple. Okay. This one flavor is called Chocolate-2. It's dark chocolate with chilies and nuts. And
we'll leave it up front.
yeah, in a minute we're going to have discussion and let you come up and taste things.
What kind of nuts?
I think it's
They contain nuts?
chocolate nuts.
Nibs.
Nibs. It says nuts on it, but
Let me see.
oh, it says nibs. I was reading it wrong. It is nibs.
Yeah.
It's so that's the crunchy parts in it is the cocoa nibs and then chilies. It's very hot. I bought this. It's green, black, organic, dark chocolate, 85%. That means it's all chocolate except for the 15% sugar, which you almost can't taste anymore. So it's very bitter.
I love it.
Right, good stuff. And then I have a little bit that I will unwillingly share. I can't even pronounce that. Invosages. Anyway,
Osage.
this is dark
Osage.
chocolate with bacon in it. Okay?
I've had that.
It is really good. This is why I'm not that. And if I bought a bar this size, it would be $6 for this. Okay, so this was $1.95, and I'm that cheap.
My daughter's husband is a vegetarian, except for that.
Except for the bacon. So he's a choco vegetarian.
He's a Rico chocolate baker.
It's the
Yes.
only meat.
Okay, so that's kind of the overview. I kind of look at it. We have talked about when will Grantville get this? Okay, probably never, because Hershey is dead. All right.
Hershey never was.
Yeah, Hershey won't be born. We don't know if Joseph Lind will be born. We're just going to have chocolate before them anyway. But what I would need, if I'm a person that wants chocolate and I have this book, okay, and I have a character that I'm writing with, she's going to have to find a machinist that she and a chocolatier and the machinist can work together and figure out the conching method we want that'll work for it. And that means I have to kick loose a machinist who's not making battleships and airplanes and cars and oil pumps and all the things that the world is demanding, or guns, okay? All of that. We only have a certain number of machinists that can make those things. So if I find one that on the weekends, okay, that will work with me, then I'm going to be able, and so that's why by 1635 I'm still not to here.
But is that
Okay.
book in Grant?
This is
Yes.
1996. I found a 96 version. So
Yes.
yes.
And we checked. It's in the Mannington Library.
See?
What you may not know, for those of you who aren't familiar with the series, the town of Mannington is 3,500 Americans of all ages, from infants.
Well, it was in 2000.
It was in
was
2000.
in 2000.
It's grown a little bit.
Yeah, it's grown a little bit.
It shrunk a little bit.
Whatever.
3,500
Whatever.
people. Don't interrupt me again. Would. I know.
If it runs, Tim, if it runs out, bring the bag back up and we'll start it again.
But anyway, the town of Mannington is a very nice little town, but the people there are not necessarily readers. So if you're writing for us and you want your library to be in Mannington, you have to find a reason for that. It's actually a hard universe to write in. We're very picky about what we like from you. Yes,
There-
you know.
Tim knows really.
If I could say something on the library, if you were writing for us and you want to see, first of all, if it's in the public or school library system, there you can actually go online. It's the Marlowe system, and you can select
I know.
the Mannington Public Library. You can select North Mannington High School. That'll of course show you what is in their library system now. You'll have to eliminate from that anything published after
2000.
early 2000, and you're probably safer to find it 99 or earlier because of the time it takes, you know, to go through distribution. And even if you really drill down, there are some tricks where you can find what the accession date of the book was, when the library system actually acquired it. You cannot, however, know, for example, if they used to have the 1995 edition of a book and the 2005 came out and they junked the 95, you won't be able to find out that they once had the
But a lot of
95.
those you can ask us because we've been there so many times and walked that library so many times.
Well, and you have
And
to
just
admit there are.
remember that yes, it's hard to write in, but we pay professional rates.
Right.
5 cents a word.
God, that's sad.
And you qualify
Yeah,
for
but
step
it's
one.
professional.
I know, that's what's sad, is that's the going rate. It's hard work for 5 cents.
Jumping back to
Well, you want more
chocolate.
money, go to romance.
My,
Going back to chocolate, I have a question. I've seen conching demonstration machines
Right.
that were, instead of being the
Yeah.
back and forth, were rollers in a
Yeah,
trench.
Giardelli uses balls.
Giardelli uses
You know, the ball
balls,
mill, I
but a
run-
roller in a trench
Right.
could be powered with nothing but standard wheat milling, corn
Yeah.
milling.
Yeah,
You know,
the
you just have to
trick
use
is-
a
10-year-old
marble
boy.
ball instead. But
Yeah.
you don't need a machinist for that. You need a stonemason.
Yeah, well, agreed, but you need a dedicated technical person.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody who's capable
But it could be a
of,
pure downtime.
sure.
Yeah, as long as
Again,
you find
any
one that
down.
was interested in what you're working on.
The thing is that once they know something is possible, most downtimers are gonna move the earth to figure out how to do it. Okay, they're not stupid.
You've got to convince them that this is worthwhile.
By the
But-
way, for
That's not gonna be
those
hard.
of you who are not familiar with the 1632 terminology,
Right.
we thought that talking about, in certain ways, natives, etc., was like demeaning to the Europeans of that era. And so early on, we came up with the nomenclature of uptimers, meaning people that came from the
Future.
year 2000, and downtimers, who are the people who are native to Europe and Asia and Americas during that period of time. So it's kind of a handy little way of saying that anyone who comes back from Mannington or Grantville in the year 2000, they have to be consistent with the demographic and psychographic information from the U.S. Census of Mannington. It's been mixed up, their exact number of people. They almost all have names. If they don't all have names, a lot of them have biographies. You've got to use consistent with that thing. But the downtimers, you know, the ones that are in history books, have to be consistent with their characters as a